She's well known in Newport News because she's on the school board there. She's been elected twice. And so she'll be running against David Yancey, who has, he's not so good on, he voted a bit wrong on the fracking bill that Mike Mullen just told you about. So he voted wrong on several other bills as well. So, and is a climate skeptic, I guess you could call him. So Shelly was a former teacher. She fights for teacher resources and worked as on a report to secure funding for extending learning programs in Virginia. In college, she studied Spanish. And she studied in Spain and in Chile and became fluent in Spanish. And she earned a master's in communications from Stanford University. As a delegate, she would advocate to protect the James River from toxics, like, for example, if coal ash were to be disposed of there. And she will work for monitors to measure the polluted air in southeast Newport News and to clean up the bad air there. She supports clean energy from offshore wind and solar farms and ways to address climate change. She opposes fracking and uranium mining in Virginia. She is a champion for the Newport News River Farm Park, and that would stop the developers from taking that part or taking part of that park, instead to keep it all for the people, and so they could have access to the lovely James River there. She's married to Paul, and she has two daughters, Georgia and Tessa, and they live in Newport News. Please help me welcome Shelly.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. And I also feel really welcome and really excited to be with you all, because I do feel like these are my people. You guys are like in it to win it with the environment, just like I am. I am currently a school board member in Newport News. I'm part of a team, so we have 7 members of the school board, and together we've worked really hard on providing extended learning for our students. When I was first on the board, we had a dwindling summer program, and we got a grant to increase it, and now I'm happy to say we have 6,000 kids getting summer school. And our graduation rate is up to 93%, which is above the state average now. And our dropout rate is less than 2%. And we made those gains by working as a team and being laser focused on what we needed to do for our kids to make sure that we're educating the whole child and not just teaching to a test. So I'm very proud of our work. The real way that I got started in politics, in fact, the first time I ever was in the General Assembly of Virginia was with the League of Conservation Voters. And I was a member of their citizen legislative contact team. And I really liked this idea of being a citizen lobbyist and using some of my communication skills that I had from my fancy Stanford degree to be able to get up there and really communicate about environmental issues and advocate in the General Assembly. And I'll never forget, the first time I went up, I had Senator Marty Williams, a Republican, that I went to visit. And he actually scheduled a meeting for me to come and meet with him in his office in Newport News. And I thought it was really strange because it was this environmental consulting firm where his office was, and the firm was the same firm that was doing all the planning for the Mattaponi and to build the King William Reservoir. And I thought, wow, this is weird that this guy actually works for the firm that's doing the consulting. So I knew that there was something going on with Virginia politics at that time. And then there was this nice man that I met named John Miller. And John Miller decided he wanted to run for the state senate. And I thought, well, if I volunteer and I go knock on doors and I write a check for John Miller, maybe I can visit him up in Richmond instead of Marty Williams. And so that's what I did. And wouldn't you know, we were so lucky to elect John Miller, and we had him as our senator. And from 1 year to the next year, the votes completely changed. We went from having somebody who was voting half the time for the environment to having somebody who voted 100% of the time for the environment. So my effort really paid off. And I guess the point here is that elections matter. Who you elect matter. And when people in Newport News say, well, you know, David Yancey's, he's really kind of a nice guy, he's a moderate, I say, yes, but he only voted 67% of the time with the environment last year. The year before that, he voted 44% of the time with the environment. The year before that, 56% of the time. And as a former teacher, I can tell you right now, that adds up to an F. So if I can get up to the General Assembly, and with your help, I'm going to focus on environmental issues that have mattered to me and matter to my community over my lifetime. The first, of course, is climate change, because we have a huge issue with sea level rise and recurrent flooding in our area. The other, of course, would be the coal ash deposits and making sure we don't have chemicals leaching into our waterways throughout Virginia. I would be interested in sponsoring legislation on that. And I've been involved for a long time with the Southeast Care Coalition, and based in the Southeast community, downtown Newport News. And they've been monitoring pollution in that area and trying to work on environmental justice. We see even in our schools that we have higher rates of asthma in that area, and I think it's something we really need to be concerned about. And I do think we need to monitor the air. Right now, they are monitoring the air at NASA Langley, not in the area where there's pollution. So we need to work with the Department of Environmental Quality to make sure we're actually monitoring the air down there. And then, of course, I've been an advocate for a long time for land conservation. I support the purchase of development right programs where farmers can sell some of the development rights for their properties and get a little bit of income and retirement. That's always a fight in the budget to make sure that that money is there for land conservation initiatives. And lastly, with land conservation, I really want to save the land at Riverview Farm Park, City Farm. There was a jail in this site right on the James River, and the jail was closed down, and they've moved the prisoners to another location. And so we in Newport News think that there are some developers that just can't wait to get their hands on that land to put up some big fancy houses. And many of us, I've been working with Adrian on this, feel that it should be a park for all citizens to enjoy. And I would just conclude by saying that is part of my positive vision for Newport News and where we can go. We are a green city. We have beautiful parks and beautiful trails. We have the Noland Trail, which if you haven't walked is just a gem of a trail. Why can't we take that land at City Farm and create another Noland Trail, and create a Noland Trail for the northern part of our city? Why can't we have sidewalks where people can walk to get to the bus? Why not? Why can't we have bus rapid transit to get people from here to there, from the top of our long skinny city down to the bottom of our city? Why can't we connect people who work at the shipyard to neighborhoods in Hydenwood and the rest of the city? I think sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for what a beautiful city we are in Newport News. And I have a green vision for our city. I have a positive vision for our city. And I just look forward to getting up to the General Assembly to fight for my community. Thank you.